If you're here, you already understand that Viking history is not just about raids and longships. It's about systems of survival that worked in some of the harshest environments in Europe for centuries. This channel exists to dig into that reality, not the myths. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to Warpaths of Europe, like this video if this kind of deep historical analysis matters to you, and leave a comment with what skill you think modern society has forgotten the most. Now, let's get straight into the substance. Norse villages were built as survival systems, not settlements of convenience. A Viking village was not placed randomly. Every structure served a function tied directly to food security, defense, and year-round sustainability. Homes were clustered tightly to reduce heat loss and to create shared labor zones. Storage buildings were positioned uphill to avoid flooding and spoilage. This matters today because modern self-reliance often fails at planning stage. Applying this lesson means thinking of your home, garden, workshop and storage as one integrated system rather than separate projects. If you store food downhill from water runoff or isolate your tools far from where they're used, you're working against centuries of proven logic. Food preservation was a constant priority, not an emergency response. Norse villagers preserved food as part of daily life, not as a reaction to crisis. Fish was air-dried or lightly smoked to last months. Meat was salted or fermented. Dairy became skyr, or hard cheeses, designed to survive long winters. Grains were dried and stored in sealed containers raised above ground. The modern application is simple but often ignored. Preservation should happen continuously, not only when shelves are already empty. If you fish, hunt, or farm today, preserving surplus immediately builds resilience. Even small-scale drying racks or salt curing can reduce dependence on refrigeration and supply chains. Communal labor created efficiency and reduced individual risk. No Viking survived alone for long. Villages operated on shared labor for harvesting, construction and repairs. This wasn't charity, it was risk management. If one household failed, the village absorbed the shock. Translating this today means building skill-sharing networks rather than trying to master everything solo. One neighbor knows mechanical repair, another understands food preservation, another keeps livestock. A modern, self-reliant community modelled on Norse villages spreads failure points and increases overall durability, especially in rural or semi-rural settings. Tool simplicity made repairs possible under any condition. Norse tools were durable, multifunctional and repairable. An axe was a weapon, a wood-processing tool and a construction implement. Knives were maintained constantly and passed down generations. This matters because, well, modern tools often fail due to complexity. Choosing tools you can sharpen, repair and adapt increases long-term independence. A high-quality handsaw and axe can outperform powered tools when fuel or parts are unavailable. The Viking approach favours mastery of fewer tools rather than dependence on many specialised ones. Woodcraft was central to housing, transport and daily survival. Viking villages depended on wood more than any other resource. Houses, boats, fences, tools and fuel all came from forest management. They didn't clear forests recklessly, they managed them. Coppicing ensured regrowth, and specific trees were chosen for specific purposes. Applying this today means understanding your local wood resources. Knowing which trees burn hot, which split cleanly and which resist rot, can transform heating, building, and repair strategies. Even urban dwellers can apply this by choosing materials and fuels with longevity and renewability in mind. Clothing systems were designed for climate, not fashion. Norse clothing was layered, repairable, and made from wool, linen, and leather. Wool retained warmth even when wet, a crucial factor in Northern Europe. Clothes were patched repeatedly rather than discarded. The modern parallel is choosing functional clothing over disposable trends. Learning basic sewing, darning and leather repair reduces dependence on constant replacement. In survival terms, clothing durability is as critical as shelter, yet often overlooked. Defense was, really embedded into daily life, not separated from it. Villages were laid out with natural choke points, clear sight lines, and quick access to weapons. Defense wasn't about constant violence, it was about readiness. This lesson honestly translates into situational awareness and home security planning. Knowing access points, maintaining clear visibility, and having response plans matters more than advanced equipment. Viking villages relied on terrain and planning first, tools second. Knowledge transmission ensured skills survived generations. Skills in farming, navigation, metalwork and medicine were passed orally and through apprenticeship. Everyone learned by doing. This kept essential knowledge alive, even when written records were scarce. Today, this reinforces the importance of hands-on learning. Reading alone is not enough. Practice food preservation, tool maintenance, fire-making, and navigation regularly. Teach these skills to others to reinforce your own understanding. Knowledge unused fades quickly. Resource efficiency prevented waste in a limited environment. Nothing in a Norse village was wasted. Bones became tools, hides became clothing, ash became fertilizer, and scraps fed animals. This closed-loop system reduced dependency on external inputs. Applying this now means thinking in cycles. Kitchen waste feeds compost, compost feeds gardens, gardens feed people. This mindset increases output without increasing consumption. Viking villages survived because they treated self-reliance as a daily discipline, not an emergency plan. Their systems worked because they were practical, adaptable, and grounded in reality. These lessons remain relevant precisely because they were tested under real conditions, not theory. If this breakdown added value to your understanding of Viking history and practical self-reliance, subscribe to Warpaths of Europe, share this video with others who take history seriously, and leave a comment on which Norse skill deserves deeper coverage next. This channel exists to keep real historical knowledge alive, and that only works if you're part of it.